walk you through. We've got an hour audio CD, hour and a half actually. Most of these CDs are an hour and a half. And we're going to walk you through it and teach you how to do the operating agreement, get maximum tax, maximum benefit on asset protection, and then we're going to show you the little details like how to issue the stock, the membership certificates. I'm going to go through the operating agreement one line at a time for you on the audio CDs. And what's a member, what's capital accounts, what's all of this stuff, and teach you how to read it. One of the things that I see in operating agreements all the time is a major screw-up. Actually, it's what it is. You have a liability shield, and you always want that in your documents. This is a corporation. A corporation has four possible elements. You can have the liability shield. You get the centralized management. That means you have officers and directors, and they don't have to be owners, stockholders of the company. You have continuity of life, which means that if one of the members or one of the stockholders die, the company doesn't terminate. And you have transferability. You can sell and buy stock in the company, the corporation. By definition of law, an LLC only gets two of those elements. You got more than that, you don't have an LLC. And the attorneys don't understand this. And they say, well, it would be really nice to have centralized management and still have you be able to sell and transfer the membership interests. So they write liability shielding into it. They write centralized management into it. They write transferability into it. When you get sued, do you know what you got? You don't got corporation. You don't got LLC. You got nothing. No asset protection. And I see that over and over and over again. And trust me, it happens in the best of families. I can give you a name in my state, and 98% of the people walking around on the streets in this state can tell you this guy is. End of discussion. What he does, who he is, everything about him. The patriarch, Dad's dying in the family. Dad's got a big business. I mean, we're talking millions and millions and millions of dollars. He's got his big CPA firms. He's got his lawyer firms. He's got everybody. Dad's dying. They bring the trust to me. I'm a trust attorney, and they say, we'd like to review it just to make sure that when Dad dies, everything's okay. And I saw that there was the LLC that operated the big business. I said, I want to see the LLC documents. So they produced the LLC documents for me. I started to read. They had the liability shield, and they had centralized management. Do you know what that means? All you have to do is check the box, and people don't understand. I'm checking the box and choosing centralized management. If it's a member-managed company, then it's not centralized management. If it's a manager-managed company, it's centralized management. You check that box, you now have centralized management. They had liability shield, they had centralized management. They did not have continuity of life. Do you know what that means? That means on the day Dad dies, this multi-million-dollar company dies. End of discussion. That's not the problem. The problem is Dad's used this company and spread the wealth down to the kids. So each one of the kids owns a piece of the company. One of the brothers died 3 years ago. What happened to the LLC the day the brother died? It's gone. Now, they had never been sued in the last 3 years, even though it's a big company. If they had been sued, all the attorney had to do was walk in and say, there is no company here. This is a partnership. So we had to scramble. We had to start over. They've been operating 3 years without a company. I don't care that Dad's dying next week, and he did die. We had to start over, and we had to create a new company. So what's written in this operating agreement is very important, guys. It's not just a piece of paper. And a lot of the LLC websites, the LLC lawyers, they don't understand this, and I see it every day. Now, you've already got your LLC? Fine. Let's get the documents out and look at them. What asset protection do they give you? What tax structure do they give you? And by the way, on the asset protection, it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly legal to go back and change the operating agreement once you get sued. That's not a fraudulent conveyance. There's nothing illegal about that at all. I very often, I have somebody come to me in a dead panic. They've been sued. Somebody's told them that they can change their operating agreement to get them more asset protection. And it's true. And so what we do is we scramble, we put together another operating agreement for them, and we beef up the asset protection value of the operating agreement. The estate planning, the LLC that you have has to integrate with the will and the trust and everything that you've got. That integration is accomplished in the operating agreement. A lot of the LLCs that you have may be formed for family asset management, managing the real estate investments that we have. That's family asset management. That has to be integrated into the LLC operating agreement. It's all in this agreement. The neat thing about it, excuse me, drink water again. The neat thing about it is you get to write the operating agreement. Our law says that if you write it, as long as you're not writing something that's illegal or against social norms or any of that sort of stuff, if you write it, our courts will honor it. So I can write right in there that my creditor can't take anything out of this. It's kind of cool, guys. We do it a little more subtle than that, but that's basically what we're doing. So your operating agreement is a big deal. The membership interest certificates, you have to issue a stock certificate for your company. This isn't done. This is one of the formalities. Not done. You don't have your LLC anymore. You got to do all of these things. Course 5, I'm going to teach you how to maintain it on an ongoing basis. You have to set it up. You have to organize the operating agreement. You have to issue the stock, or no, that's not stock. It's called a membership interest. You have to issue the membership interest. You have to do all this stuff to set it up, but then there's an ongoing annual maintenance that you've got to go through as well. We're going to follow all the legal requirements to give you a solid asset protection shield. Look, when you get sued, they're always going to sue you and the company. The first thing you do is you get into court and you argue, hey, judge, can't sue me. See the LLC over there? And the judge says, yeah, right. And you say, well, you got to sue that. And the judge says, well, yeah, that's right, provided. Now, this judge has a list of all these formalities, and he's going to start down the list. And you're going, wait a minute. My attorney, my website said that we don't have these formalities in an LLC. And I'm going to say, yeah, maybe not. The judge has the list. He's going to start down the list. Did you do this? Yep. Filed our operating agreement. Articles of organization. Wrote my operating agreement. Yeah, I think so. I don't know if I did that. No. Didn't do that. And the judge is going to look at you and say, well, look, you didn't treat this thing like a company. I can't use it to protect you. And he does what's called pierce the corporate veil. And yes, you pierce the corporate veil in an LLC. You set the LLC aside. Now, I started out saying that your attorney, your legal doom site said, hey, don't have to do all the formalities. Actually, in my state, they've even passed a law which says you don't have to do all the formalities. But the argument when you get into court is whether or not this is a real company or it is just your alter ego. It's you, disguised as a company. The way you prove to the court that it isn't you is you go through these formalities. You treat it formally. So anybody that says you don't have to worry about formalities when you got an LLC, they're nuts. I'm going to go through. I'm going to teach you about it. We're going to make it easy for you. It's a simple checklist. We just go right down the formalities. We document teach you how to do the minutes in the annual meetings and all of that sort of stuff. The checklist is right there. I mean, have you read Understand Your Articles of Organization? Yeah, you'd better do that. We're going to go through that in what was it? Course 2, I guess it was, that we went through that for you on. The minutes, I teach you how to take the minutes. And by the way, in the minutes, you have to write them a certain way. First time I ever took minutes in a corporate meeting, acted as corporate secretary, man, I'd been to college for 10 years. I knew how to take notes. I had 18 typewritten pages worth of notes. I sent these notes off to an old friend lawyer of mine, and the old guy took me over in the corner, and he said, Phillips, and he gave me a tongue lashing. He said, son, your notes, they're no good. So I go in, I teach you how to take minutes, personnel area, finance area, planning area. Look, here it comes, Todd. The art of a lawyer is to be able to write something so that it doesn't say anything. Think about that one for 2 seconds. So at any rate, Course 6, we're going to talk about the principles of double asset protection. And by the way, in the maintaining the annual formalities, back up here for 2 seconds. These are easy, guys. We're talking 3-4 hours a year to do all the formalities. That's why it's such a short section. It's not hard. You can't go back, by the way, and clean it up. If you haven't been doing it, you just got to start doing it now. It becomes totally overwhelming if you try and go back and clean it up. It just doesn't work. I've never seen it work. Course 6, we're going to double your asset protection. This is a big deal. Protect personal assets from company liabilities. Protect company assets from personal liabilities. And what do you do if you're already in trouble? A lot of you have got 5 pieces of real estate. 2 of them are doing great, but 3 of them are in Coral Gables, Florida. I went down to Coral Gables, Florida, Todd, the other day with somebody who was doing an assessment or appraisal for a mortgage company. And I drove down there with him, and it is just absolutely nuts. It's astounding. You can go through whole neighborhoods, and there's maybe 1 or 2 houses occupied on the block. I mean, we're talking miles of homes that were built in the early 2000s, late 1900s, and 1 or 2 people on the entire block occupying.
Wow.
It's actually scary. It's like going to a ghost town. But you've got your 2 good pieces of property and your 3 pieces of property in Coral Gables. You're upside down. You're going into default. They're coming after you for the default and the deficiency, because you can't pay those mortgages, and they're not going to get enough out. They're not going to get anything out of them on a short sale. They're coming after you for the delinquency. Is there any way that you can protect the 2 good properties from the delinquency that's coming? And the answer is yeah. I think there is, and you're not going to find another lawyer that tells you about this. You got to use the LLC. We're going to go through that. We're going to understand, first of all, we've got to understand where the attack comes from. Which side of the fence is it coming from? And we're going to understand how to manage the assets in the time of crisis. Think of it as a wall. The company is a wall. The LLC, the corporation, it's a wall. And the wall, in a corporation, the wall protects you, everything on your side, personal side of the wall, from what happens on the company side of the wall. That's called the corporate shield. Something happens in the company, you don't lose your house. excuse me, your personal assets.